Well, it's 8 o'clock somewhere. Welcome to the Eden Army podcast, everybody. My name is Pete Robert Tucci. If you don't know me, I'm a retired firefighter. I am an author, and also I am what your mom warned you about, those evil prepper guys. Tonight we got an interesting show. We come on at Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Every week we either do a live or a podcast, but tonight is going to be a special. We had a really special guest, and I look forward to bringing him on the air. But before we do that, just a couple of logistics things. If you're on the Discord channel, and you'll see the link down below here in a second, but if you're on that, that is only for actual questions on the air. So if you want to ask a question on the air, that's where you'd want to be. Otherwise, either be on Kick or the YouTube stream or the Facebook stream. Now, you might be getting some buffering errors on the other stuff. I'm sorry, I apologize. It's starting to give me some errors. I'm not sure why, but just bear with us, and you're not going to want to miss this this guest we have. Before we do that, though, I want to go through some current events because we have some stuff that went on this week that's probably notable. So let's talk about a few things right here. Did you guys happen to see this nightmare that happened last night? And I'm not quite sure why they had this debate. This is the DeSantis-Newsom debate, but I think Newsom's out of his league here. Let's see what happens here.
California to Florida, and he was telling me that Florida is much better governed, safer, better budget, lower taxes, all this stuff, and he's really happy with the quality of life. And then he paused and he said, by the way, I'm Gavin Newsom's father-in-law. So we do count Gavin's in-laws as some of the people that have fled California and come to the state of Florida. And why are we getting people to come? We have a 50-year low in the crime rate. You don't see, in the last 10 years, we've had a 45% decline in homelessness. California's had a 45% increase in homelessness. We back the blue. I was walking the streets of San Francisco a couple months ago, and I had some of the cops in San Francisco do a beeline to come over to me, and I didn't know what they were going to say. And they're like, we want to thank you for standing for law enforcement because we don't get that support in the state of California. So people understand quality of life matters. They understand that Florida's doing it right, and I can tell you the numbers speak for themselves. We have way more people moving to this state than leaving. Gavin can't say the opposite. More people are leaving California.
Ouch. I mean, DeSantis really ripped this guy a new orifice last night. So, not sure what Newsom's game is. I know he's running a shadow campaign. Maybe he's thinking something's going to happen to Biden. Maybe he really honestly wants to be the next president. Or maybe he's just hedging his bets to go up against DeSantis in the next election, which I expect is the actual motive there to even have that debate. So that's that. Also in the Beltway, we had another issue here. George Santos. George Santos was removed from Congress today. He's a Republican congressman for what they call ethics violations. So let's look at these ethics violations that Santos actually had going with him. 1 count of conspiracy to commit offenses against the United States government. 2 counts of wire fraud. 2 counts of making materially false statements to the FEC. 2 counts of falsifying records submitted to obstruct the FEC. 2 counts of identity theft, aggravated identity theft. I don't even know what that is or how you do that, but maybe you guys can clue me in. 1 count of access device fraud, 7 more counts of wire fraud, 3 counts of money laundering, 1 count of theft of public funds, and 2 counts of lying to the United States House of Representatives. Wow. So they're gonna kick him out of Congress because of these ethics violations. Are we gonna see any law? Are we gonna see any law enforcement action after that? Is this guy gonna do jail time? Because Fauci lied to Congress right to their faces, and he's under oath, and he's not seeing any type of criminal charges, which is amazing to me. But we all know why. We really know why that's going on. So interesting stuff. Let's move out of the Beltway. And I don't know if you guys ever dealt with a group called Forward Observer. They give a daily situation report of what's going on, not only domestically, but overseas. So I subscribe to that. It's a free thing. I subscribe to it, and they hit me with an email once a week. That's all I get. I don't get spammed. But let's look. And they have a lot more information than I actually want to present to you this evening. But one always sticks out to me. So I want to try to bring that up weekly. And that's that the feds are investigating Iran cyber attacks on U.S. utilities. And according to officials familiar with the investigation, federal agencies are investigating cyber attacks against multiple water processing facilities across the country. Now, it's only the ones that are using a particular motor control system, industrial control device, that was actually made by the Israeli-made Unitronics industrial company. They suspect that these were attacks from Iran or Iran-linked groups. So it's there, guys. I mean, if you've read my book, my first book, you're going to see that EMP came, but prior to that, there were multiple attacks on our infrastructure. They have the ability to do it. So get your preps in line, because sooner or later this is going to come to fruition, and we're going to have to make sure we have potable drinking water. Shallow wells, if you haven't gotten that little pamphlet I wrote, it's $10 on Amazon. It's called Water is Life. Might be a good idea to look into that and figure out a way to increase your water prep. And I'm not saying keep it 2,000 gallons of water on hand, but have the ability to obtain water. You know, you can only go 3 days without water, right? We all know that. What else do I have here? Oh, this news here is for my buddy Guy. Guy's birthday is today, and they're actually on the other side of the house doing a little viewer party. So they're having a good time over here while we're doing this. But this is 100% for him. And I don't know if you guys know this or not, but I'm a huge sports fan. Love the Miami Dolphins. So when I saw this come across the airwaves yesterday, and I knew Guy, who's a huge Buffalo Bills fan, is going to be here in-house, I definitely had to run this. So Guy, this one's for you, buddy. And I'm sure it will not affect the Buffalo Bills playoff chances at all. Okay.
Neck. Our Ally Spilliards had the details this morning from his arrest warrant.
Just south of his hometown of DeSoto, Von Miller surrendered to Glen Heights police hours after Dallas police issued a warrant for the NFL linebacker's arrest. According to police, Miller was home at his apartment in Uptown when his pregnant girlfriend of 7 years says he assaulted her. In a warrant, police say the couple was arguing over travel plans when Miller began to shove and push his girlfriend as she tried to grab her belongings and leave the couple's home. The document states he then stepped on her feet and using one hand began applying pressure to her neck for 3 to 5 seconds before letting go. It says he later grabbed her neck with both hands, pulled out a chunk of her hair, and caused her to fall to the ground. In the documents, police noted minor abrasions and bruising to her neck. Police say both Miller and the woman recorded portions of the alleged assault on their phones. After police transferred Miller to DeSoto's Tri-City Jail, the NFL star posted $5,000 bond. The Buffalo Bills released a statement saying, "This morning we were made aware of an incident involving Von Miller. We are in the process of gathering more information and will have no further comment."
Anyway, you guys get the point there. Sorry, Guy, I had to do that to you. I'm sure the Buffalo Bills are going to be fine without him. I'm sure that they're going to have a good chance to go to the playoffs and face the Dolphins. But we'll see. We'll see what happens there. Sorry, buddy. Okay, so now I'm done with current events. I'm going to introduce here our guest for the evening. And he's a guy I've known for quite a while. We kind of have the same type of background for the most part. I'm a retired firefighter, heavy into EMS, did some SWAT stuff, and the long and short of it is we just gelled right away. But most people don't know about Mike White is that he runs an organization called Comms Connect US. And what is Comms Connect US? Well, I'll let him explain to you. But I want to give you my experience with Comms Connect US. Comms Connect US offers a service 100% for free, by the way. that will offer a traveler what they call a flight following. They run a flight plan and they will track you at your discretion for your entire trip. And should something happen to you, regardless of what it is, they have a boatload of volunteers that will come to your service. And again, 100% free. They don't ask for anything in return. These guys work their tails off. So a story I had with them, and what really sold me with this group, was I travel yearly from Central Florida up to northern Wisconsin. And a few years back during the BLM riots, I was a little nervous. I mean, I have stickers on my car that my RV that probably would be an indicator that I'm leaning more toward the right than the left. So I was definitely would be a target should I get caught in something, some type of roadblock or something like that BLM or Antifa was running. Regardless, I filed a flight plan, and about an hour south of Nashville, my radio chirped, my phone chirped, and it says, "Hey Tooch, where you at?" And I said, "I'm an hour south of Nashville." I said, "Well, just so you know, the news is not reporting it, but highway whatever is shut down, and I see that you filed that you're going to be taking that road. You probably need to divert." And I said, "What do you, it's not showing anything on Google Maps. There's no slowdowns. There's no nothing." And they go, "I live 10 minutes away from it. You probably need to divert." So they diverted me, and sure enough, had I taken the path I was planning on taking, I would have been slap dab in the middle of a road stoppage with, I suspect, a bunch of angry people. So needless to say, that sold me on this group. So that's my experience. My guest today is Mike White. Again, Mike runs Comms Connect USA, and he's going to come talk to us about his organization. But first, we're going to pay some bills. Let's talk about another buddy of mine who I love. He's helped me through my writing career, and he has a new book out last month came out. But anyway, he's a sponsor for the program tonight, so let's give him some respect and see what he's got going on here.
For those of you who may not have heard of the Survivalist series, the basic premise of it is as a post-EMP. The main character, Morgan Carter, is 250 miles from home in the state of Florida when this happens, and the first book is just about him trying to get home. But as we all know, and most of us don't really think about, that's just the beginning. You know, that's why his whole route home is only one book. The rest of the books are trying to deal with this new world, and where we're at now, number 12 in the series, Exploring Home, we're starting the rebuilding of that world. And it's going to look a lot different than what it looked like when we started. I think in a better way. That's the basic premise of it. And, you know, and Morgan, our guy, he meets a lot of interesting characters along the way. He makes some great friends. A lot of bad stuff happens to him, too. But you just got to deal with it, you know. Ain't dead, can't quit. If you haven't heard of the Survival series, check it out today. Links below. You can get it on Amazon. It's on Audible, e-readers, all your stuff. Check it out. I think you guys like it.
Well, there you go. That's from my friend Angry American. We support each other. He supports me more than I support him, obviously, but I really do appreciate it. So go buy his books. I'm sure everyone that's watching this stream right now has already got his stuff, but if you haven't, go get it. That's all I got to say about that. Mike White, my friend, it's good to have you here. I'm happy you're able to take some time to spend with us. Let's tell us about yourself a little bit. Well, first go ahead.
Thanks, Teach. I really appreciate the opportunity just to share a little bit about Comms Connect US, what we do, and just a little bit about what we're about.
So tell us about Comms Connect US. And I didn't realize the extent of or the size of this organization. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. But tell us about Comms Connect US and tell us about why everybody should be using it.
Well, first of all, when you used it, when we had our first interaction during your trip, that was before we provided real-time tracking. That's why we had to ask you exactly where you were at that point at that time. Now, we would see exactly where you were, and we wouldn't have to ask. Comms Connect is a collection of, just think of Comms Connect as a private EOC, a private emergency operations center. We're comprised of 18 different partner groups. Those partner groups is what comprises our pool of responders. To date, this afternoon, we have 222,252 people in that pool that we can reach out to should you need something one of our travelers needs something, if there's a disaster. So right now, we, as I mentioned, we have 18 different partner groups. We service those groups, the members of those groups. Those are our internal customers. We have done hundreds and hundreds of missions since we started in, actually back in Hurricane Harvey, or just before Harvey. We do a myriad of things. Our biggest things that we do, or the most utilized, is our traveler program, flight following, which is what you mentioned. We've gotten very heavily involved in disaster response with both our internal partner groups as well as our external partner groups. Half dozen Cajun Navy groups, some other smaller disaster response groups, volunteer disaster response groups that we provide just a myriad of different services for. We provide VIP protection, command and control infrastructure. We just, our home is on Discord.
Right.
For those on,
So you had mentioned, Mike, you had mentioned that all these affiliated groups that you're a part of. How many members in these? How many volunteer members do you have here in the United States, approximately, that are able to lend assistance?
let me ask you a question. If you were just in the aftermath of the hurricane, we're both in Florida, so we both know what that's like, and you got a call saying, Tooch, you have a neighbor half mile down the road, an old lady stuck in her house. She needs some food and water. Do you have anything at all that you can provide, or at least go and sit with her for 5 or 10 minutes? And whatever you need, let us know. Would you act on that?
100%. I mean, that's we're in this
Okay.
in this
If
in
you
this
were,
particular community, and I always preach that we're a family, we're like-minded, we're a tribe, and 100% I would. But I have to know that she was in distress, right?
that is correct. And you have to have the means of doing it as safely for both of you as possible. That's why everything we do is absolutely, there is no proprietary information in the public at all. Any proprietary information, name, address, nature of the, who's responding, is all kept between myself and my 6 ops team members. Uh, to answer your question, we have that pool of people, 222,000 plus, who 95% of them, Tooch, would be more than willing to go a mile down the road to help a neighbor. And that's what our strength is.
So you usually are pulling these volunteer members from, like you said, your affiliate groups, right? Like the Cajun Navy and stuff like that. So obviously these are people that deal with those particular groups. So they've been pretty well vetted by their individual groups. So I had a question asked to me earlier, and I'm sorry, I don't want to get off the agenda, but how do we know that the person coming to help us is a legitimate person? I mean, is there a vetting process, or do you leave that up to the affiliate groups to do their vetting?
Well, now there again, there are 2 types of groups that we work with. Internal group, that's our Comms Connect members of all of our Facebook partner groups. A vast majority of them, believe it or not, are pretty well known to each other. If there's any doubt, I certainly have no problems whatsoever about asking you to do me a favor. Thank you for your willingness to respond. Would you mind just taking a real quick screenshot of your driver's license and just texting it to me? And it's strictly between me and you, and it will be, my copy of it will be destroyed as soon as you're finished.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, like you did say, Mike, you did say, the group of volunteers that we have, you're right, we pretty much all know each other, whether it be social events, whether it be book signings, whether it be just hanging out at the bonfire with guys like I'm going to be doing tonight after this interview. We all know each other, so we're not going to surround ourselves with any unscrupulous people, so we wouldn't expect them to be volunteers for you. So that's a good point. And so you said 225,000, did I hear that right?
No, as of this afternoon, Pete, there was 222,252 in our pool of people.
Wow. So listen,
Somewhere,
I'm a logistics guy, so and I understand span of control. So Mike, tell me this. That's a lot of people. So what makes you uniquely qualified to operate an organization like that? What's your background and how the heck do you do it, honestly?
my background is I've always had, for whatever reason, and I don't know, I've always had an innate ability to look at a market niche that's being unfulfilled by conventional measures and create and build and implement a program or an organization to fill that need. Uh, that's how I got involved in tactical years and years ago. I found myself and my partner back in a being babysat by SWAT team members, back in an apartment with a hostage situation. We're in one bedroom, the bad guy and the hostage is in the other bedroom, and I'm thinking, what the hell are we doing here? We're not trained, we're not equipped. So after that call, I went back and took a month or two and created this plan and sold it to the police chief and then to the mayor, and then the fire chief couldn't say no at that point, which he would have. And that's how our tactical medic team got started. We were the first first organized tactical medic team in the nation. There were a couple of individuals at that point who I remember Dr. Richard Carmona out in Pima, Arizona, and Kelly Boaz over in Palm Bay, Florida, over on the East Coast, were individuals who volunteered with their local SWAT teams, but there was no organized teams created at that point. So we took 12, after a very extensive selection process, we took 12 of our best paramedics and completely integrated them into our tactical team, into our police tactical team. Not only the tactical team, but the dive team and bomb squad also. That was 40 years ago, 40 plus years ago. And I'm proud to say that team I've got the Christmas party coming up next Saturday. The team's still going just as strong as it ever has been. So I identified a market niche in some of our prepper groups that I had always done flight following with my daughter. She and her husband were stationed out in the Midwest, out in Kansas and Nellis out in Las Vegas. And periodically, while my son-in-law was deployed, she would drive back to Florida, back home. And I set up a flight following scheme for her, just like I do, just like we do now for Comms Connect. And I was doing some private security work for a couple of our riders, for Lisa and a couple of the other riders, at some of their in-person events. And I asked Lisa, I said, Lisa, I have an idea for a program. Would you let me use DD12 as a beta test? And I explained it to her, and she said, sure. So we started doing traveler missions. It was kind of rudimentary at first, but then we refined things. I created a small core group initially. Out of that core group, 4 or 5 people, over the next few months, one of them still remained. The others had dropped off. And that's who I knew. That's who I need to bring on board with Comms Connect. It was DD12 Comms Connect back then. And that was Kevin Onslater. Kevin is a technological genius. And he and I put our heads together, and I did the operation side, and Kevin did the technological side. And we've just moved from traveler missions to disaster response to, as I said, dignitary protection infrastructure, and the rest is just kind of history.
Wow. So you guys are into a lot, and that leads me to another question. But we'll get to that here in a second. But I know when I was utilizing you guys for my traveling stuff, you used a lot of social media or messaging app. I think Zillow was one of the main ones you use. Now, when people hear about comms, they immediately think ham radio. but that's just one tool. Right? Why not use the easier tools that you don't have to have a license for that are out there and available? So what type of social media or messaging apps do you use to communicate with your travelers?
We view things in concentric rings, and I'm sure you can identify with that. Uh, Discord, as I mentioned, is our actual home. Long story short, we got booted out of Facebook. Within 24 hours, Kevin had rebuilt us completely on Discord, so that's our home now. We do still have Facebook pages. Our Facebook pages is our liaison between us and our partner groups, but we really don't use our Facebook pages for a whole lot else. We use, of course, Zillow. We use Zillow Works. We have a very good relationship, a very intimate relationship with Zillow's chief technical officer. They reached out to us during one of the hurricanes earlier on. They said, we've been watching you guys work behind the scenes. They can monitor any Zillow channel. He said, we've been monitoring you guys behind the scenes. We like what you're doing. And they've partnered with us. So we have a very good relationship with their CTO and also with their design team. So yeah, we use Zillow and Zillow Work extensively. Zillow Work is what we use to track. That added a completely new dimension to the services that we can offer that would be absolutely exorbitantly expensive for us or anyone else to do.
So those applications, those applications are those are all tools. They're out there. They're free, right? I assume for the most part, for the user end. And of course you have the ham backup opportunity also, because I remember on one of my trips I just gave my ham as my my ham call sign as my traveler number, and just went ahead and talked like that. So so you use many facets, many different tools to track people, and now from what I understand you're doing it real time, which I'm interested to asking you about that. But everything you do is, as far as the applications, are all free. Am I understanding that right?
We have never charged a dime for anything that we've done for anyone. I don't ever expect to charge a dime to anyone for what we do. What we may do in the future, depending upon costs, we may open up a GoFundMe account or something like that. But no, we will never charge.
Gotcha. And even the applications, I mean, it's not like you need to spend money to be monitored. It's not so you can download the app for free and have flight following for your entire duration of your trip. I know the way I did it was, look, I drive like an old lady, so when I'm in the RV, I'm doing 65, and I got a 1,600-mile trip ahead of me. Look, I'll stop for the night. I'll hit that Zillow thing and say, here's where I'm stopping for the night. You can cancel flight following till 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. That's when I expect to be on there. And always, no matter what time, I always got a response. And they say, we'll continue monitoring the channel if you need us. That's just an amazing thing to me, that the dedication that your volunteers go through. I mean, they're up all night. Someone's up all night monitoring my trip 100% for free. And they don't expect anything out of it. That's just an amazing, amazing concept to me, Mike. I mean, your volunteers, they really need to be commended for that.
Dude, this whole thing operates around 6 people, not including myself. Like I tell them all the time, I don't play the instruments. I don't make the music. I just get to hold the wand. I have got 6 of the best people in the world. They can spin up faster than any fire or EMS or law enforcement team I've ever been on. They can go from 0 to absolutely 100 miles an hour at the drop of a hat. It amazes me how these people work. We have, of course, Kevin, as I mentioned. We have a retired trauma surgeon on our team, on our ops team. We have a weather guru. We have someone who takes care of nothing but Zillow. He's a genius when it comes to Zillow and how to utilize it. We have support people in the ops team that help us with logistics, help us with research. We have one of the best researchers I've ever met these people do miraculous things and ask nothing in return.
Wow, that's just amazing. That's commendable. And that's why I preach as a preparedness instructor, as a firearms instructor, as just an overall prepper, and to my mutual assistance group. Why isn't everybody using this service? Now, I don't want to jinx you and have you have a million people and then you get, but look, like you told me before the show, I'll just get more volunteers. There's people out there that are willing to help, and it's just a great thing. So we'll move on, man.
The neat thing about this is the scalability. There are sometimes we may have a day that we don't have anything going on. The next day we may have 6 travelers and a disaster somewhere.
Right.
It's completely scalable.
Well, and again, we'll talk about some of the other stuff you provide and some of the things that because I know with living in Florida, we understand the fact that we're hit yearly with hurricanes, and but you guys have seem to have that communication standpoint down to just down to a pinprick. You don't mess around. You got it ready to go. I mean, you are dialed in when it comes to communications and stuff like that during a natural disaster.
We do our best. We have, as I said, many layers from amateur radio down to telephones, whatever we need at the time.
And the funny thing about that is people forget the stuff that we're able to use. Everybody wants to get so worried about an EMP or a solar flare that knocks down all the other stuff, and we're stuck without any type of communications. The likelihood of something like that happening is very rare. So why not utilize the stuff we use every day for free and make it all work? And you guys, you're right. You've taken that model, you've integrated stuff, but you also didn't leave out the fact that in a real crisis, I would say a long-term event, I mean, you guys are dialed in there also, because you're able to, at a minimum, still communicate as long as the ham radio system is operating and stuff like that. So, an important thing to remember. Let's move on a little bit. Now, you've run how many missions have you guys run at ballpark since inception? And I say missions, that could be anything from flight following to natural disasters to PSD war, anything. How many in general?
Yeah, missions, operations are disasters. Those are large scales, but missions. We've probably, and I could go back and check our archives, but we've probably done at least 500 traveler missions. We've done every major hurricane since Harvey. It's funny because one of the earlier ones, right slap in the middle of the hurricane, were the Boston or the Massachusetts gas fires. Remember those?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
So we were running those at the same time too.
So it's it's not just a local thing. You don't just deal with travelers. You deal with a multifaceted approach, scalable to the event, the size of the event. It's amazing to me, and from a logistical standpoint, it gives me chest pain trying to manage. So I just can't overstate enough how commendable that is. Do you have any particular challenging missions that you've had during your tenure with Comms Connect? And if you have multiple ones, that's fine too. I'd like to hear about them.
We've had some interesting ones, but one challenging one, I think it was back late 2019, if I remember right. We had a third-hand report that came from a pretty reliable source initially, that there was a lady and her dog in a little town in Australia who could only had enough cell phone battery to get her call out, that she and her dog had to escape to their swimming pool because their property was on fire. The surrounding property was on fire. I think all of Australia was burned. All of Australia's emergency trunks were tied up. She couldn't get hold of anybody, and we got a third hand. One of the things that I love about my group is they think so much out of the box. Within 20 minutes, all we had was the little town that she lived in, and her name. We reached out Our nearest member was about 2 hours away in Melbourne. No help in that situation. But within 20 minutes, we had a full fire brigade, not only to her, but we found out afterwards that it was her whole small neighborhood that was engulfed. And the fire department didn't even know that that area was lit. So we got some thank yous from that, and that was pretty challenging.
You know, and the funny thing is, I remember I was monitoring Zello, I think, and I think a call went out for something in Australia, and I was dying. Now I'm just monitoring, and I was dying to find out what was going on. But because of the integrity of you guys, just as a listener, I never knew that story until now, and of course that's years later. But I'm telling you, this is not something that goes out on the airwaves. It goes to a very specific group of volunteers, and then you guys render help. But I can tell you, I remember that call going out, and I wanted to reach out to you and go, "What the hell's going on in Australia? And what are you guys doing? What are you guys doing over there?" So that's interesting to me. So it took me 2 years or so to figure out what the hell was going on. I appreciate that. What else?
That's really our biggest downfall, Tooch, is that number one, we suck at tooting our own horn. We hate to talk about ourselves, to be honest with you. We have our emergency assist Zello channel, which we usually have about 30 people at any given day helping us to monitor. For the members, truthfully, it's pretty boring, to be honest with you, because they don't get a lot of feedback. They don't get a lot of the rest of the stories when we put a call out. Did we find that little boy missing up there in the mountaintop? What happened here? What happened there? And I've really done a poor job of getting those stories out to our members, because they really deserve to hear them. Lord knows my ops team members deserve the pats on the back that they deserve.
Well,
that's one of our downfalls.
You coming from the fire background, I mean, we always wanted to work behind the scenes anyway. You know, we never wanted to take the accolades for saving the old lady out of the fire. We were just simply doing our job. And not only that, but I would always tell my patients, listen, I would never say I'm just doing my job, because that minimizes the thing. I would always say it's my honor to be able to meet you in your emergency. And I think that's all being a part of the type A personality, the firefighter mentality, and not to mention the whole SWAT thing. Look, it pains me to be in front of this camera right now, because I went my entire career hiding from cameras, but then I write a book, and now all of a sudden my manager is telling me I gotta do this stuff, which I enjoy, because then I get to catch up with guys like you and bring experts from the preparedness industry out into the public. Even though I know you hate it, I understand, I get it, but you're right. We don't toot our own horns maybe as much as we should. But what you've told me on a number of occasions is how much you rely on your volunteers and your ops team, and how much you appreciate, and that you wouldn't be able to do anything without them. So I certainly know your feelings on that particular aspect, and I'm sure your ops team certainly understands the gratitude you have for them. What else? What else have you had? So we got the lady in Australia. What else you got?
I remember one hurricane, we got a report of a grandmother and her 6 grandchildren trapped in a house and absolutely flooded. We were able to get a team in there, rescue them. We actually, one of the storms, and I want to say it was Laura, but after a while they all run together without going back and looking. We actually had one of the police departments, I believe it was Lake Charles actually, Louisiana, reached out to us. They were so inundated with calls, and they were in such bad shape that we actually did their dispatching for quite a while during that emergency.
Wow.
That was a little challenging. The Texas snowstorm. We had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people trapped in below freezing weather up on the interstate in Texas. The government wasn't doing crap. They weren't out. We work closely with Louisiana Cajun Navy. My team was up all night long helping them find fuel, and Louisiana Cajun Navy We helped track them while they delivered fuel on four-wheelers up and down the highway. It took 8 hours, but 8 hours later, the highway was clear.
Wow. Amazing. I just got a note from my ops team here at the house that for some reason we're no longer streaming on Facebook. So I apologize for anybody that had to move from Facebook over to either Discord, Kick, or YouTube. So I apologize. I don't know what the technical difficulty is there. We'll certainly figure it out. Facebook doesn't like me very much for some reason, and I don't quite understand why. So, yeah, I mean, it just goes along with the people we surround ourselves with, I think, Mike. So that's good stuff. So just a note for the people that moved over from Facebook, Mike, I apologize, but give me 30 seconds because those people, I want to run that promo for my buddy again because those people didn't get to see it on Facebook. So bear with me, and then I'm gonna run two commercials back to back, both of which you're gonna want to listen to. One being from Angry American and one being from Mountain Readiness. So we'll be right back after this.
For those of you who may not have heard of the Survivalist series, the basic premise of it is as a post-EMP. The main character, Morgan Carter, is 250 miles from home in the state of Florida when this happens. And the first book is just about him trying to get home. But as we all know, and most of us don't really think about, that's just the beginning. That's why his whole route home is only one book. The rest of the books are trying to deal with this new world. And where we're at now, number 12 in the series, Exploring Home, we're starting the rebuilding of that world. And it's going to look a lot different than what it looked like when we started. I think in a better way. That's the basic premise of it. And, and Morgan, our guy, he meets a lot of interesting characters along the way. He makes some great friends. A lot of bad stuff happens to him, too. But you just got to deal with it, Ain't dead, can't quit. If you haven't heard of the Survival series, check it out today. Links below. You can get it on Amazon. It's on Audible, e-readers, all your stuff. Check it out. I think you guys will like it.
So there you go. That's Angry American. His book 12 and the Survivalist series are out. I like to call it the Going Home series, but I understand Survivalist series. I get it. Pick him up at any bookstore, on Audible, on Amazon, anywhere fine post-apocalyptic books are sold. Also, I forgot to mention on the Facebook version of this that he's having a signing tomorrow, a book signing at Umatilla. Now, see, I said Umatilla because that's the correct way to say it, Duke. Umatilla Public Library at 12:30 tomorrow. So go see him. Meet and greet. He's a super guy. 12:30 tomorrow, Umatilla Public Library. Sorry, I got to do a back-to-back, but one more sponsor needs to get heard.
Hey folks, this is T, and this is Mountain Readiness.
It doesn't matter what the event is that makes this thing go pop. It's going to be water, shelter, fire, food security. That's it. That's what you need in a nutshell.
So there you go. That's Mountain Readiness. Their next camp out, get together, preparedness seminar, the whole 9 yards is going to be in May. Sign up for that. You're gonna get to meet a bunch of great authors, post-apocalyptics. When I say that, I mean Angry American, not myself, even though I will be there, meeting and greeting. But we will be there, and there's a plethora of information. And you saw what was going on last year. We had a fallout this October. We had another meet and greet out there. What they called the Fallout. It was amazing. So plan on spending the weekend out there and supporting those guys. If you want to be around a bunch of like-minded people and you want to get some value out of doing stuff, out of going to a place, this is where you need to go. And that's Mountain Readiness. Good stuff. Sorry about that, Mike. I apologize, but like the my buddy told me, you got to adapt and overcome and make it work. So that's exactly what we did. I appreciate you. I'm sorry to keep you held up like that.
Not a problem.
So we talked about the only service I've ever utilized from you guys is the flight following, the traveling stuff. But you guys do a lot more than that. And I didn't realize that you do a lot more than that, not just here in the United States, but nearly worldwide. So tell us about some of the stuff that you've done. Now, we've heard about Australia. We've heard about the flight following. But you mentioned something to me that really piqued my interest. And that was, and I don't want you to get into any specific details, but that was how you had to take care of a personal security detail team that had lost comms. Tell me about that incident.
2 or 3 years ago, back in the BLM riots, we got a call for assistance from one of our members who happened to be involved in a VIP security detail at the Kentucky Derby. There were a lot of protests around the racetrack, and they were having a problem getting out. They were completely kitted out. They were ready for whatever. We spooled up. We provided them with encrypted and secure dedicated comms. Within 15 minutes, we had safe and secure routes of travel out of there. We had 2 safe houses ready for them. And we followed each person on their team until they were safely out of that whole area.
Wow. So
that's kind of how we got involved in VIP protection.
Wow. See, and I didn't know that. And I've done some VIP stuff down in South Florida, and I had no idea that was that. See, and that's the problem with and then someone always told me, you don't know what you don't know. So this was something that I guarantee 80% of preparedness people have no idea about what you guys do, have no idea that you're even an option. And then to take that and bring it to the PSD type of world, I never, as a team leader, I never would have in my wildest dreams thought to reach out to you guys. But guess what? I do now.
The only reason they did is one of their members happened to be a prepper, belongs to one of our groups, had heard of us, and reached out to us.
It's amazing, and it's just another tool in the box. We got a lot of tools for the job, but some of those tools will work on other jobs if you just allow them to, right? Amazing. So
that's really how this came to be. Is I built the operations side of our Office of Emergency Management, and I know what looks good on paper. I checked all the boxes like any other emergency manager did. But when you look at it and when you see behind the scenes, you also know what works and what doesn't. And a lot of those boxes that our emergency managers are checking don't work in real life. That's one reason why we're partnered with 2 professors from the University of South Florida who specialize in emergency management to identify different ways that these sometimes huge volunteer disaster response groups may be able to be plugged into the existing emergency management system without all the red tape, without all that. And I've often said, the first emergency manager who can effectively harness the energy and the assets of some of these groups, you'll be the top of your field.
Well, and you're right when you even say that, because I can remember working out in the field on a job, a big fire, catastrophic MVA or something like that, where we would do a debrief on it, and every single time, no matter how many times we did it, what was the argument? Comm sucked. We couldn't hear you. We couldn't do this. We couldn't do that. but you guys have it dialed down. It appears to me that you guys have it dialed down where you're not getting the problems that even the paid professionals for the municipalities are having. It's commendable, brother. I gotta really tell you, it's something to be admired. Really, really does.
Well, we appreciate it. One of our strengths is our ability to respond and adapt to changing conditions as rapidly as we do. There's no government agency, probably on the face of the planet, that can claim that. But we can spin, and sometimes, pretty often we have to. You can spin on a dime and adapt to changing conditions and changing needs, changing assets, resources. It's a very fluid situation. All of these are.
Yeah, I mean,
Teach something you asked me. You asked me about what other services we offer, and there was one very important one, a couple of them that I didn't think of right off. When we work with, say, the Cajun Navy groups or some of the other volunteer disaster groups, we don't plug our people into their roles, but what we do is we provide the infrastructure for them to plug their people in. Kevin wrote a program called Metas that allows them, it provides ticket intake, processing, and archiving so that they're no longer scribbling, or they don't have to anymore, scribble these, an address, a name, what they need on a scrap of paper, and it gets lost. It gets misplaced. If they plug into Comms Connect, absolutely free, they're given an entire infrastructure from the time that call comes in. And a lot of these, over the last year or two, we started sending to our web page, because at the very, very top of the web page during disasters, we have a link, direct link to our submit an emergency request form. From there, it comes into us. As I said before, we may be working with 6 different teams during that hurricane. We can look and see which team is closer to this address and send it to that team and track in real time where their team members are. If you remember right back in Andrew, down in Homestead, there weren't even street signs. The crews down there that responded down there had no idea where they were half the time. We can solve that simply by bringing up one of our apps on this side, our tracking app on that side, and we can actually walk an individual or a team into a specific address, or even into a specific room at that address.
wow.
The other thing that we offer them is telemed services. Our Comms Connect doc offers through us. All telemed services have to go through us, and not directly from let's say a Cajun Navy team to our doctor. But they come through us. We connect our doctor with them and provide telemed services, which during hurricanes is huge.
Well, absolutely. And a mutual friend of ours, Mrs. Dorn, I met her over at the Fallout. Really super people. The whole entire family is awesome.
Here, Roy, I'm not sure about Roy, but Julie's a sweetheart.
Yeah. Roy, and she's a sweetheart for having to deal with Roy. Is kind of what I'm thinking. It's kind of what I'm thinking.
I keep thinking Roy's a work in progress.
But when they heard I was having, was having you on, they shared an experience that you had helped them out during Hurricane Florence.
You probably can't talk about that one.
Right. You're probably, well, depending on what experience it was, I imagine you're probably right. All right, we're gonna use this.
All the other thing is, they're great people.
Yeah, they are. They're awesome people. And to be fair, Franklin Horton did warn me about them when I heard that they were friending me up. He said, "Be very, very careful." I'm kidding, guys. I apologize. I'm just playing. So, hey, we come to the part of the show where if anybody is on Discord and wants to go live and ask questions, they can certainly do that. Just raise your hand and I'll pull you up into the chat. Also, if you've already submitted a question either on YouTube, Kick, or Discord, then what we're going to do right now is Tiny Tooch is going to read those questions off to us, and maybe we'll Tiny Tooch is my daughter, by the way, and maybe we can we can get those answered for people. So, Tiny Tooch, are you listening?
I'm here.
You are here. You sound beautiful, young lady. So, do
Thank
we
you.
have any questions from the peanut gallery?
We do.
Give them to
So
us.
Terry had a question asking, when someone is traveling, what is used to do the real-time monitoring?
Normally, we have two different types of flight following. One is passive, and what that means is you reach out to us. We will provide you with an encrypted, dedicated Zello channel only with you and our ops team members. And we don't follow you every minute. That's one of those, if you need us, you call us. A lot of people prefer that. We also provide active flight following, in which we are in front of the computer screen watching you, looking at your intended route of travel for bad weather closures, traffic log jams, protests, anything that might affect your trip. So that's active following. The actual programs that we use Zellerwork. That gives us real-time tracking within feet of where you are.
Gotcha. So that's good stuff. And you guys didn't even have that when I was utilizing you guys. So definitely something I'll be getting into now. Then you'll see how many pilot gas stations I sleep on the way on the way up to Wisconsin.
You talk about you driving. I'm the same way. My wife jokes I've got a 3-hour butt. That's why I learned how to fly and bought an airplane. I hate to drive.
Right. I'm with you. I enjoy it for the first 8 hours, and after that, I'm done. And like I said, I drive. I drive so darn slow that 8 hours, I'm only a couple hundred miles away from the damn house, so it doesn't matter. What else do we got, Tiny Tooch?
Harry also asked if you have to be a part of an organization to volunteer.
With our traveler program, our flight following, that is specifically for the members of our partner group. During disasters, no, we will help anyone anywhere during disasters. You do not have to be a member of one of our groups. We will accept help from wherever we can get help, as long as you're vetted. And we will do a very quick vetting process so that we can be relatively sure that you're safe, that the people you're responding to help is safe. And during that call, we real-time track both of you. We stay in voice communication with both of you until that mission is completely finished. But no, to answer your question, you do not have to be one of our members to help. Now, how we do our partner groups is that's our pool of people. So when we get a request, we put that request out fairly vaguely within a generalized area, basically what we need, but no identifying information. And that's why we've kept it within our groups, is those are our groups who are reachable. We really don't have a good way, a good mechanism to go outside of our groups to ask people.
Right. Exactly. Now, and I'll just answer this one real quick. Mark asked if it's a free service. 100% free. They don't ask for donations. I mean, every now and then, like he had mentioned before, they might do a GoFundMe or something. Not obligated to give at all. But I think once you utilize this a few times and realize the value it provides, you might want to throw them a couple bucks. But no, they never asked me for a dime. And look, I'm cheap. And I'll be honest, I haven't never given them any money. And they've always, anytime I did a flight following, they picked it right up and walked me all the way up to northern Wisconsin.
I'm not cheap, but I'm frugal.
Well, no. My wife would argue that I am more than frugal. All right, Tiny Tooch, what else you got, young lady?
I think that you might have already answered this, but it wouldn't hurt to answer it again. But Christy asks where we can find the info about these services and what is the best way to get in touch when traveling.
The best way is our website. That's our portal. It's very easy. www www.commsconnectus.com.
And I've got that
You can
scrolling
find,
on the screen right now. It'll come up here in a second, so I'll make sure I leave this up for a second. But yeah, commsconnectus.com. It's as simple
you
as
can
that.
file a flight plan. You can file a flight plan. You can request assistance. You can file a sit rep.
Yeah, there's
And it's got a lot of
a
information about
number of
what we
things
do.
you can do. And I also would say get on their Discord channel. Their and go ahead and plug that real quick. But get on that thing, and there's just so much information on there, and everybody's so nice. They'll walk you right through the process without any problem. So do you know the name? What I'll do is I'll just link it in the comments after the show, and then people can get on the Discord channel and join that. Good stuff. All right, Tiny Tooch, what else, young lady?
The last question is from Christy again. What does PSD type of world mean?
You want to cover this too, or you want me to?
So PSD type of world would be personal security detail. So those would be your VIP protection type individuals that are working not just here in the United States for Beyonce, but also for diplomats all around the world, right? So personal security detail work, very lucrative. And I had no idea that these guys would help me out if I ever got in a bind. So that is good to know. Let me just double check the
Hey,
Discord.
Tooch, while you mention that, let me throw in real quick. What a lot of people don't realize is we have done missions in Canada, Italy, France, Australia, Germany, Russia, Croatia, multiple missions in Ukraine, Haiti, Israel, Jordan, Iceland, and Austria. And I'm probably forgetting one or two.
Wow, that's incredible. I can't understand the logistics behind that, but that's why I'm not doing it and you are, young man. And that's a hell of a way to spend your retirement, might I add, because I am definitely not that motivated for sure. I have a hard time getting up to do this stuff. So interesting stuff. All right, let me just double check the Discord, make sure no one's got their hands up in there. There's a couple guys in the audience. Doesn't look like they have any hands up to be heard. Let me double check YouTube over here. Everything looks good. The Dorns are over there raising hell, by the way, because we were talking about them. Angry Americans in the house. That's good stuff. And Chris, they've got to experience mountain readiness. They have to. Reverend Katz in the house. If I can find your way around Haiti, you're good. I would say that if I had to put my money on it, they would get me some communications in Haiti if I needed it. So that's, if they can do it across the sea, they can do it across the Mediterranean or the Gulf over there and get to Haiti. So okay, doesn't look like anything else, Mike. I'm going to leave you with the last word, but before I do that, I want to say I appreciate the effort you guys put in. I appreciate having you as a friend, first of all, because we come from similar backgrounds, and I know the type of the amount of work you guys put in, and I thank you for taking the time this evening for being with us. But with that being said, I'm giving you the last word on this interview, young man.
Thank you, Tooch. About Haiti, we provide our services to a pretty large volunteer group down there, especially lately with all the civil unrest going on. They provide water and water filtration systems for villages and small towns. But yeah, we do a lot of work down in Haiti. No, it's just if you have any questions, go to our website, shoot us an email. By all means, or join us on our Discord channel. There again, it's Comms Connect US. Just do a search. If you want to help us monitor the emergency assist channel on Zello, it's not real exciting, real quiet. We like it real quiet, but we certainly appreciate any help in monitoring it. We also have a Zello Comms Connect US Zello chat channel, and that's just for chatting and joking and whatever. If you're on Zello, feel free to join us on that. But Tooch, thank you so much for the opportunity to kind of share Comms Connect a little bit and what we do and who we are.
Well, my pleasure. It's good having you, Mike. And I will definitely, as soon as the snow melts up north and I head that direction, you'll see me on the list of missions for sure. Thank you again for spending your time with us. From what I understand, you don't have to hang out, Mike. I know you're busy, but from what I understand, Tiny Toots. Now I don't know if I told you guys. It was good. Oh, by the way, it was good talking to you, Mike. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you.
Take care, Ron. Thank you.
So I don't know if I told you guys, but we're having kind of a viewer party on the other side of the house where there's a bunch of Rugrats over there watching this on the big screen. And I was just notified from my ops team, since, well, I didn't mention it, but over on Kick for the after show, we're going to have the La La from my book 2 on for a couple of questions. So, but from what I understand, my good buddy Will is over there and he wants to do the intro for Lala. So I'm going to let him do that intro. I'm not sure. Look, I am not sure what he's going to do. So I have no idea. But Will, you're listening. This is still on YouTube. So be right. And then once we go to Kick, of course, no holds barred. But Will, the floor is yours. God help us. Go ahead, brother.
I got him here now. You ready?
I am ready. Send him.
Hello?
Go ahead. This is your time. Make it quick.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Will Gomez. I'm just going to read a couple of excerpts from book 2 of Eden Under Threat to introduce this particular character. Bear with me a moment. This is in chapter 17.
Okay. All right. So Angry American has Duke
Abruptly
Fontaine,
awake.
and I have Will Gomez. All right, I'm in. Carry on.
Abruptly awake, the man immediately dropped his NVG eyepiece into place, leaped to attention, rifle at the ready. The goggly asked, "What's up?" The more awake Marine turned his head from right to left, trying to discern where the noise was coming from. Something's out there. To the left of the barricade, a likely figure appeared in the dark. There would be no way the Marines would have seen him had it not been for the night vision. Well, that until the fact the figure made no attempt at stealth. There was no doubt he could be heard from at least a mile away. Over there, 100 yards, out in the middle of the road, the Marine said as he pointed his IR laser in the direction of the figure. "I got him," the other Marine said. Has he fired up his own laser, centered on it? Fired it on the person? "Front gate to command. Go for it." The grumpy Navy SEAL snapped back instantly, making the young Marine wonder if the old guy ever slept. "Sir, we have an issue at the gate. We have a military-aged male walking in the direction from the east." "Armed?" the question came back. They now noticed he had a strange gait. Each step had a pronounced limp, originated from his left leg, and seemed to snake up his torso. It was now obvious to them that he was pulling some sort of small cart behind him. "Doesn't appear to, sir, but he is pulling something behind him," the Marine answered. "I'll be there in a few minutes. Keep an eye on him and let him pass by if he doesn't notice you."
Okay.
Chief answered.
All right. I can't do it
Yes,
anymore.
sir.
Kevin Pierce, you are not, sir, but I appreciate your effort. I love it. It's a lot harder than it looks. Believe me, I tried to read my own book. It's painful. So without any further ado, actually, here's what we're going to do, guys. We are going to terminate the YouTube stream, and we're going to go specifically and exclusively over to the Kick stream. So if you're watching on Kick, keep watching. We're going to do an intermission, and then we are going to introduce the La La.